Hi everyone, Adam here, and this is what I watched for December 2023. Just an overview of the movies I watched this month, either at the cinema or first time watches. Alright, let's start. On the 8th of December, I watched the classic action movie Die Hard at the cinema. Most people would have seen it, obviously. It's a classic. Bruce Willis in top form, I gotta say. I don't really need to say too much about the plot because I'm sure most people have seen it, but here's what I like about the original Die Hard. Some of the later sequels are kind of went a bit over the top. He's just pretty much an everyman. He has to use his wits to try and defeat the terrorists. Yeah, and there's also a bit of humour. Is very 80s, but nothing wrong with that. But it still holds up pretty well, and it was fun seeing it in cinema. That's one of the Die Hards I never got to see at a cinema. And it does make a difference seeing something like that on a big screen, but yeah. I mean, pretty much everyone's performance in this is great. Like, of course, Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman. But yeah, I mean, I don't have to say too much about the plot. It's a classic action movie. Of course, there's always the debate, is it a Christmas movie? But I'm not going to talk about that here. On the 10th of December, I watched The Abyss Special Edition. This is, of course, James Cameron's underwater thriller, sci-fi, bit of everything. I know some people might not have seen it. It's not James Cameron's most well-known movie, but here's a synopsis. A civilian oil rig crew is recruited to conduct a search and rescue effort. When nuclear submarines mysteriously sinks, one diver soon finds himself on a spectacular odyssey 25,000 feet below the ocean's surface, where he confronts a mysterious force that has the power to change the world or destroy it. I hadn't watched this in years. I always enjoyed The Abyss, the special edition. I mean, it's not action-packed like some of the other James Cameron movies. It's kind of a mix of an underwater thriller, sci-fi. But I will say the standout performance was Michael Biehn as the increasingly paranoid Coffee. I mean, some of the special effects have dated a little bit. I mean, it was released in '89. And what still looks good, though, is the water tentacle. On the 15th, I watched Silent Night. This is an action film directed by John Woo. Here's a synopsis. Action speaks louder than words. A tormented father witnesses his young son die when caught in a gang's crossfire on Christmas Eve. While recovering from a wound that costs him his voice, he makes vengeance his life mission and embarks on a punishing training regime in order to avenge his son's death. I thought it was, look, there's an interesting concept because there's not really any dialogue, really. After he loses his voice, and most of the characters don't really say anything. I'd say there's less dialogue in this than there is in A Quiet Place. I thought that kind of concept worked for A Quiet Place. I don't think it really works for this type of action movie. Yeah, and while Joel Kinnaman does give a good performance without actually saying anything, I found the action to be a bit lackluster, and I didn't enjoy this. I kind of found it a little boring, to be honest. But other people might like it. I will give it this. It's quite an intriguing concept for an action movie. I mean, yeah. And on the 23rd, I watched Godzilla Minus One. It's quite interesting. I'm not really well versed in the Japanese version of Godzilla, and a lot of people were raving about this. I did enjoy it, maybe not as much as some other people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a well-made movie and there is an interesting plot. Here's a very short synopsis. In post-war Japan, a new terror rises. Will the devastated people be able to survive, let alone fight back? I mean, there was a pretty decent plot there, and yeah, I did enjoy it. I mean, the action scenes were well shot. And it has what you'd expect in a Godzilla movie. Not that I've seen that many of the Japanese ones, but, you know. Yeah. And just for fun, watch me make people angry on the internet. I prefer the American Godzilla. Dislikes incoming. And on the 26th, I watched Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the final in the DCEU. Yeah, the DCEU has kind of been all over the place. I liked aspects of it, but I wouldn't say it's a good movie. Here's a synopsis. Black Manta, still driven by the need to avenge his father's death and wielding the power of the mythic Black Trident, will stop at nothing to take Aquaman down once and for all. To defeat him, Aquaman must turn to his imprisoned brother, the former king of Atlantis, to forge an unlikely alliance in order to save the world from irreversible destruction. Yeah, this was such a letdown. Special effects were okay, but you know, it's sad that the DCEU is ending up like this. And I've said it before. Maybe this is probably the best thing for DC is to do a reboot. You know, I mean, they tried, and they only had a couple of really good movies. But yeah, this one, look, Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson do their best. But, you know, it's a letdown. I mean, I didn't think the original Aquaman was too bad. I didn't think it was great, but this is a pretty average movie. All right, let us know, have you seen any of these and what did you think? As always, just my opinion. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Adam, and I'll see you again soon.